Welcome, everybody. This is a continuation of the celebration of the New Jersey Youth Soccer Awards presented by RWJ Barnabas. It is my pleasure today to have our youth referees of the year, who are Marisa Brandon and Kyle Trombetta, and also a very special guest that we have with us today that's going to be speaking to Kyle and Marisa. We have the pleasure of having New Jersey native Mark Geiger with us. And Mark is definitely not someone that needs any kind of introduction from anyone within the world of soccer, but I'm going to give him a brief one anyway. Mark obviously has a long, extensive history of refereeing the sport of soccer on all the way up from the professional level to the international level. Mark has refereed in the Olympics. He has refereed in Major League Soccer, CONCACAF Gold Cup, a pair of World Cups. So pretty much, if there's any platform to referee soccer, Mark has done that. So what I'm going to do at this time is, Mark, I'll turn it over to you and have you say a few words and speak with Marisa and Kyle here for us today.
All right, thank you very much, and hello to everyone out there. I am PRO's Director of Senior Match Officials and a former FIFA referee representing U.S. Soccer and the state of New Jersey, and coming up through the youth program certainly kickstarted my career. So it is a pleasure to be here with you today. It is certainly my great honor to be here with two of New Jersey's finest referees in Marisa and Kyle. New Jersey Youth Soccer Youth Referees of the Year. I would like to start off by saying congratulations for this great accomplishment. Not many officials have received this honor in their careers, so you're certainly amongst an elite group of New Jersey referees. So congratulations on what you have done, and I look forward to see what you're going to be doing in the future. So I have a few questions for you guys. People often ask why we referee and subject ourselves to being yelled at by players, coaches, and parents. So Marisa, what drew you to start officiating youth soccer?
For me, I've played soccer for a lot of years now. I've been playing since I was 4 years old. So I've just always been around the sport. So I've just been heavily involved, and it just growing up and watching the officiators throughout my games was just something that I always thought was kind of pretty interesting and something that maybe someday I'd be interested in doing. So when it came to the time where I was old enough to actually go for that specific job, I went for it, and I realized that it was definitely something that was really enjoyable, just being out on the field with kids and other people, as in other referees, and working alongside them and having that opportunity to maybe either teach the sport as well as influence other players, and maybe even give them the opportunity to look up to other people to maybe become an officiator themselves.
That's really awesome. And certainly we always think of ourselves as having the best seat in the house, for every single game. How about you, Kyle?
So ever since I was little, my first word was ball, and I'm the youngest of my siblings, and they all played soccer, so I would dribble up and down the sideline watching them play soccer. So I just naturally was drawn towards the sport, and I started refereeing about 10 years ago. So this is like my decade-long journey as a referee. And what keeps me going as a soccer referee is the passion that I have for the sport. I understand that in competitive soccer, it's very passion-driven. I understand that the coaches, the players on the field are very passionate about it. And as a player and a ref, I understand the perspectives behind it, behind the coaching. My dad's the varsity coach at Princeton Day School. My brother's been playing, my sister's been playing, and I played all the way through U8 to the college when I was a senior. So I've been playing for a long time, and I understand the perspectives behind soccer, and I just love it. It's my passion.
That's really cool. Maybe the next step will be coaching as well, so you can have the whole trifecta: playing, refereeing, and coaching. One thing that I've seen throughout my career is being a soccer referee can expose us and bring us to some awesome places. What has been your most memorable experience, Kyle, officiating youth soccer?
So there was a tournament at my local town. It's called the Sunburst Tournament. It's in West Windsor, and me, my brother, my dad, and my uncle were all a crew. And that was something very memorable because not many people can say that they had their dad, their brother, and their uncle all a part of a crew for an entire weekend as a referee. So that was something memorable for me because family is super important.
Yeah, that's really awesome. How about you, Marisa?
For me, the most memorable game for me was probably my first center for travel. At least it was definitely most memorable because the weather was probably the most craziest it could be, in the sense of there was rain, wind, cold, probably sleet at this point because it was so cold. So it was just that unbearable weather that kind of just stuck in your head. And even though there was that horrible weather, it made you realize that no matter what, the game must go on as long as the conditions are safe enough to play. And even though it's horrible conditions, it's still safe enough to play. So it just put you through that tougher situation and made you realize that you can pretty much go through any type of game, whether the parents are yelling at you, whether the weather is bad, or whether it's an easy game where it's just everything's going your way that day.
And I'm sure as you guys do this more in your careers, you'll get more and more memorable experiences. Like most Americans, I'm sure you've grown up playing different sports and watching sports on TV. Marisa, who would you say are your sports heroes, and what do you admire about them?
Um, so for me, this was a question that I kind of wasn't so sure about. I've never actually really had a sports professional athlete that's really been someone that I've looked up to. For me personally, I've had just someone that's local to me. It was a coach that I've had in my life and in my soccer career since I was little. He first started out as a referee in my experience while I was about the age of 4, and once I grew up, he soon became someone that I worked alongside with as an assistant coach for special needs kids. So I quickly became around him a lot more and engaged in what he was doing and learning from him different techniques for reffing, different coaching styles, just different ways of how to interact with other people and interact with the kids, and portray yourself in the best way that you can as a representative for the sport. So that was kind of like my biggest mentor, just because he's been able to help me through a lot through my reffing career, my soccer career. And then also just a lot of the referees that I've been working with lately, just having that mentorship there and being able to learn from my mistakes and learn from what they've done and listen to all their feedback and be able to better myself. It's just been very helpful since I've only been reffing for this is about my 4th year reffing. So it's just very helpful to have that background and experience to help me through this career.
That's a really awesome story. And I think what 2020 showed us is that heroes are not always found on TV. So really cool one. How about you, Kyle?
I would say my sports hero would be the current manager for Juventus FC in Serie A. His name is Andrea Pirlo. And what makes me so gravitational towards Andrea Pirlo is that he's so cool, calm, and collected on the soccer field. He's known to be the playmaker. He pulls all the strings. He's such a good workforce in the midfield. And as a coach, he gives back a lot to the community as well. So outside the soccer field as well, he's very charitable. And that's something I admire about him. And I try to replicate his composure and coolness on the soccer field as a referee.
That's really cool. I think that's something we always look for in all of our heroes, not just how good they are in what they do, but also how they give back to their community and the sport itself. For those referees who want to someday be in your shoes, Kyle, what is your approach to officiating a game, and what would you say separates yourself from other referees?
So I would say my approach to refereeing a game is the way it starts the night before. You want to get a good night's sleep, wake up, and then mentally prepare yourself for the game. Get there 30 minutes beforehand. Introduce yourself to the fellow referees that you're working with and the coaches. It's all about getting there promptly and being ready for the job. And I would say what separates me from other referees is my emotional intelligence. I would say is that I understand the passion behind the game. I understand why players and coaches get upset. So I can kind of relate to them, like I said before, in their perspective. So I think emotionally, I'm a lot different than other referees.
Yeah, it's so important to be professional and be prepared, for every single game you do, because the game that you're about to referee is the World Cup for every player that's out there. How about you, Marisa?
For me, my approach to a game is treating every game like it's your first game. So going into something like a tournament or even just a regular work day where you maybe have 2 or 3 games lined up for the day, starting every game like it's your first game makes a big difference in the way the game is actually played out, in my opinion. Just because if you treat it like it's your 7th game and it shows that it's your 7th game, you might act a little bit more tired or you might be lagging on some of the calls in the sense. But if you treat it as if it's your first game, you're always on the ball, you're always paying attention to those calls that are coming up, and you can quickly act on what's happening during the game, and most likely the game will end up working out in the way that you want it to, and it'll go well. something that I think separates me from other referees is having a good vocalization with the players and the coaches while being on the field, as well as during the halftime or before the game. Just like Kyle had mentioned, going up and speaking to the coaches, introducing yourself beforehand is always a really good step, just so that way they know who you are and know who they're going to be dealing with throughout the game, as well as being on the field, communicating with the players and just kind of giving them like some direction on maybe what they could have done instead when there's maybe a foul, just kind of explaining what they did so that they're not lost on why you're calling something, because you want to make it clear the reason that you're blowing the whistle instead of just leaving them to wonder, as well as maybe giving them a heads up of the time that's left, or giving them just reassurance that they're doing something right. Like maybe if you've corrected them on something earlier on in the game and they've now proceeded to correct it, it's just like some kind of feedback just to kind of give them that insurance that they're doing something right.
That's a really good approach. And really the players and the coaches and the spectators, they're looking for you to give your best and be on top of your game like it's your first one. So I really like that approach and professional attitude. Well, thank you, Marisa and Kyle, for sharing your story with us today. Hopefully what you do on the field will inspire that next generation of youth soccer referees. And again, I just want to say congratulations for the incredible honor of being named New Jersey Youth Soccer Youth Referees of the Year. Well done, and I wish you all the best in your future careers as referees in soccer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it.